intro, right? Yeah. So before we get into anything too heavy, I basically want to start this video off telling you about who Sebastian Kelly was. Sebastian Henderson Kelly. He was artistic. He loved dance. Break dance, if I am not mistaken. I think it was break dance was his favorite form of dancing. But he was just very vibrant, very artistic. He wasn't just a case or a headline, but he was someone who mattered. He had a creative soul. He wasn't afraid to be himself. Unapologetically Sebastian, I'd say. He had his quirks, sure, but who doesn't? That's what made Sebastian Sebastian. In a world that tries to mold us all into the same shape, he really stepped outside of the box and was his own self. And I think that's what I admire most about Sebastian. He was just spunky, all around spunky. This video was made not only for Sebastian, but for Sebastian's family. It was made with the utmost care by me. I don't want to just talk about what happened. I definitely want to honor Sebastian, and I hope that this video does that. Without further ado, my name is Amber. You're watching Beyond the Silence. Let's get into the disappearance of Sebastian Henderson Kelly. I'm about to show a rather long clip from the YouTube channel named The Untold. It's an interview between the guy who runs it, I believe his name is Ed, and Adrian, which is Sebastian's sister. So I just want to say that I'm including this because it's an extremely detailed interview. It's an extremely detailed interview, and I feel like it can offer some insight on helping us understand Sebastian's case a little more. Actually, a lot more. I feel like it's got a lot that I didn't necessarily find online. Like, I know this is technically online, but there's a lot of information in this interview. So I will be clipping it so I can use it. But at the same time, I do want to say this is not my work. I did not conduct this interview, and I did not do any of the research for the clips I'm about to show you. This is all Ed's work from Untold. I will link his video down below. So if you do want to go check it out, I've already watched it like 3 times. I think it's extremely interesting, and it gives us a whole different perspective. Like, I really feel like it kind of opened my eyes when I saw this. So I wanted to share it, at least some of it. But if you want to watch the whole thing, you can find it on Ed's channel. Alrighty.
Very artistic, and he could dance and play sports, and I barely could draw stick figures. So I mean, but we were kind of opposites. Like, I was a loner in school, and he was the pop. So
okay,
yeah.
Okay. All right. And did he look out for you? Kind of your protector?
Yeah, when we got older, like, but when we were in high school, like, not so much. Like, I was a freshman when he was a senior, and like, my first day of school, he shoved me in a locker. So
well, that's nice.
so
okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of younger siblings have had that happen to them over the years. I think that's maybe.
As I'm editing this content, I can't help but cry and laugh, just to pause and be real with you for a second. This story in particularly about Adrian and her brother, where he shoves her into a locker on the first day. It reminds me of a time when I was a freshman, when my brother was a senior in high school. How ironic. I'm sure a lot of other people can relate to that too. But anyway, yeah, he put me in a trash can. I think it was the first freshman Friday. It might have been a couple Fridays after, like, the very first week back to school. And oh man, I remember being so upset with him. Now it's one of those memories that I look back on and we just laugh about. It's like, what the hell, do you remember that time? So if you're watching, thank you for that, Nathan. But then the bittersweet hits you because you realize that Adrian may never have one of those moments with her brother where she can sit there and reminisce about being shoved into a locker. So that's enough of me reminiscing about me and mine. But let's get back to the reason why we're here. Adrian and her brother, Sebastian. So Adrian is about to go on to talk about their parents, and I might clip a little, like, some things out just because they are relevant. I'm not saying they're not relevant, but I feel like we could skip them. Like I said, if you want to watch the full thing, go watch the full thing. I don't want to steal his whole video. So she basically just gives us a deeper insight, like I said before. So I'll be quiet now and let you watch again.
All right, and would you say, given your parents, would you say that he's more like your father, more like your mother? Was he like them, or you more like them?
He was more like my mom. I was more like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, quiet. My mom was loud and like the life of any situation.
Life of the party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He touched upon some of these things. That's fine. Personality sounds like a more outgoing personality. In fact, you called yourself a loner compared to him. You said that he was into sports. What particular sports do you remember him being excelling at?
He was really well. He played. He was a wrestler, and he was.
Wow.
But he was really good with football until he tore his I think or something, and he couldn't play anymore, and that like really upset him. But he was a very good football player.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's unfortunately the knee injury. I know that can be very painful, and that usually ends sports careers. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. What about some of his interests outside of that?
He definitely liked fishing. We used to go fishing together. He was into dancing. Like he would go to like break dancing competitions.
Wow.
Yeah, he would like to draw. He loved to draw.
Uh-huh.
He's very big. So I remember like I would try to ask him to teach me, and he would try, and he would just get so discouraged because I had no rhythm background, and it was like I don't know how he did half the things he did because it was just like I don't even know how somebody can move like that. But yeah, he was a really good dancer.
Okay. Very good. All right. And as you stated, when he was a senior, you were a freshman. He graduated high school. Did he have any additional education? Did he go to a trade school? What did he do if he graduated high school?
He didn't go to college or anything.
Mm-hmm.
He moved out of our family home and went out on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And started hanging out with the wrong people around that time.
Okay, and we'll get into that here in a moment. But so, graduated high school, moved out. What did he? I guess you're saying that he maybe moved in with friends who were bad friends.
His friend at the time wasn't a bad friend, but just the people that he was closer to because we lived in the country and he moved into the city, so it was a different atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah, sure. What did he do? Did he work while he was in high school? Did he get a job after school? What did he do for money in his late teens into his 20s?
He did neighborhood stuff. Like he would like shovel people's yards and do like normal stuff teens do, like babysit, but not babysit. But he would babysit with me, like stuff like that.
Okay. Did he? What other kind of work did he do later in his into his 20s? But what kind of work was he doing with that guy?
He would do like, what's it called when people do like painting and stuff? What's that called? Okay, he did that stuff, or like any type of remodeling.
Remodeling. Okay, remodeling. Okay.
Yeah.
Did Sebastian have some troubles with the law?
Yes.
And in your opinion, once again, being his younger sister, why do you think this happened? How did it happen?
Well, our dad died when we were young. Like my dad died when I was 17, and it was really like it was hard for both of us. So he just started almost like lashing out and taking his anger out because he never talked about it, and that he just ended up doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, and it just kind of was like a black cloud that followed him around after the first time he got in trouble. Mostly there was drug charge. Pretty sure there was a theft charge, and he had an assault charge on my mom.
Oh my!
He got mad one morning that half of a sandwich wasn't in the fridge. Attacked my mom for it.
Oh my gosh! Was that, if I can ask, was that typical of the relationship between him and your mother, or was that really, really out of character?
Very out of character. He would never listen on my mom. He was. You could tell it was like he wasn't the same person when he got on the steroids. It was so crazy.
Do you think that Sebastian felt bad about it after it happened?
Yes.
He did. Did he apologize?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever hear about that happening again, or did he and your mother work things out and everything was smooth again?
Yeah, no, it never happened again. My dad was diagnosed with kidney failure,
Oh my.
so we were dealing with that. And then when I was 17, he got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh my.
So yeah, so he fought for like 8 months, and then he decided to take himself off of dialysis because he was just tired and he knew that he couldn't fight it. So
Yeah.
he took himself off of dialysis, and he fortunately passed away like I think 3 days after that.
Alrighty, so we just heard a little bit about Sebastian's like teenage years, his life living with his family up into his dad's passing, and now we're going to transition over and listen to a part where Adrian basically talks about him moving out and kind of moving on his own, kind of living with friends. He's kind of all over the place a little bit, right? We've all been there.
Where was he living? Who was he living with? And we're going to get into his relationships. I'm guessing these two topics will go together. But you had said that you lived in the country. He moved into the city. When you say the city, do you mean Portland?
No, he had moved. He moved into Westbrook.
Oh, you moved into Westbrook. Okay. And what was the living situation there? I don't know if we want to get into these women's names, but did he live with these women that he met? Of course, he had a child with a child each with two different women. What can you say about his living situation over the time that, of course, he's getting into trouble, but he's working? What can you say about all that in his 20s?
In his 20s, when he moved out, when he was in high school, he just lived with one of his guy friends. And then he ended up moving back home after that, and to be with my mom after my dad died, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then he dated another girl before before the mother of his children, and he lived back and forth with her. And then what else? He ended up living with me, kind of like off and on. He would like stay on my couch a lot just to be away from, being with my mom. But he was pretty much only like he would go back and forth from home to anywhere else, and then always just come back home.
Okay. Do you happen to know? And we're going to be talking about his boss here in a little bit regarding his disappearance, but my understanding, he was renting or from his boss. We talked about this remodeling job, painting, etc., that he was doing. Do you know how long he had been living at that place before he went missing?
He had lived there for almost, I would like to say almost a year, I would think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the lease was coming up.
All right, now we're going to listen to a portion of the interview where Adrian is basically just talking a little bit about Sebastian's first baby mama.
Let's just talk about his first relationship. I've had a chance to talk to this young woman recently, but do you happen to know how Sebastian and she met? How long they were together? They, of course, have a child together. What can you say about that relationship?
Oh, they met in high school. They went to school together,
Okay.
They were pretty much I always say that they're like high school sweethearts, because I remember he had brought her over for the first time, I think, on his 16th birthday, I think. And, yeah, and I was very rude to her, because I didn't like any girl that was dating my brother. I was very protective.
That's funny.
And they always remained in contact with each other, and they ended up having a baby together, which was crazy, but they were great co-parents. They were best friends, really. They had a good relationship. It was rocky, a lot, but it was, they were very close.
Okay. In what year do you think that they finally split up?
Well, I think that they finally split up in, I think, around close to Christmas. Was it 2007?
Wow.
2008, maybe?
So then considerably a lot of time before he went missing.
Oh yeah. And
Okay.
luckily for him, she is a very understanding
Yeah.
and well-rounded person,
Yeah.
and she's just a great. I love her. She's a great person.
Okay. I can see why. I got to talk to her. I thought the same thing. Very good. Okay. What can you say about the second one, this relationship? How did Sebastian and this woman meet? And maybe you can talk about that relationship a little bit.
Well, after my mom had died, we couldn't keep up with like the mortgage of the house where we like grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up moving to Westbrook with my boyfriend and living with him. And my brother didn't have anywhere to go, so I was like, well, you can go to my friend's house. And this girl, she was there, and they ended up talking and forming a relationship. And she got pregnant rather fast.
Mm-hmm.
And she was young. She's younger than I am. Daughter are just completely different. So.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I'm going to clip this next part. However, I just want to summarize what Adrienne was saying. And basically, she's explaining that this relationship was a lot different than the first relationship. The first relationship where they had a child, they had a very healthy co-parenting relationship. Well, in this one, the second relationship that Sebastian had a child with, it had a lot of instability, or at least Adrienne expressed that. She felt like the dynamic was very unstable, very controlling and manipulative, just all around unhealthy and draining for Sebastian. She also expressed that the girlfriend at the time was a lot younger than Sebastian. She was even younger than Adrienne was. So while while Sebastian was at a point in his life where he was kind of looking to settle down, he wanted to stay at home, he just wanted to work and do his thing, raise his kids. The girlfriend wanted to go out and party. She wanted to go to the clubs and just live that young, fun life. They were at two different stages of their lives. What really stood out to me, though, is that Adrienne had expressed that this girlfriend was cheating on Sebastian. So this girlfriend had twins from a previous relationship, and Sebastian was actually taking care of them and his children while she was cheating on him. So he was really stepping up to the plate and doing his best to be a dad and be the man that he was while he was getting played and cheated on. I cannot imagine what kind of pain that must be to show up and show out every day for your kids and your family, and then to find out that your girl is not your girl. It's just heartbreaking to me. It was something that clearly concerned Adrienne as his sister. And now looking back, Adrienne can't help but wonder, like, if certain things that you're about to hear aren't a part of the bigger picture, right?
At the time of his disappearance, I remember, because I had lived with them for a couple, like, a month and a half, and I ended up getting my own apartment, so I moved out, and I remember him telling me that, she was acting really weird. Like, she was just acting really strange, and Sebastian had, this, like, disorder thing with his body where he would just get random blood clots, and his legs would swell up, and he wouldn't be able to, and it was painful.
Yeah.
So, she ended up getting, like, almost, like, resentful. This is what he told me
towards
my brother, because, he couldn't really do much, and, one day, I guess she just got up and took all the kids, because she had already been seeing somebody else, and left my brother there.
Oh my.
And yeah, that happens to be one of the people that she formulated this plot of what happened to my brother. So
Okay. How long did this happen before he went missing? That she took off with these kids?
I think like a week or two.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
All right. When you talked to Sebastian about it, what did he have to say about that?
He was just upset. Like he was like, I just want to see my son. Like he would say that she would be real ignorant to him and laugh at him and just all these, like, kind of like immature ways of treating somebody that, is the father of your kid. And it's like, I mean, like I said, she was younger, but still, like, she was very ignorant, and she would keep little, because his son's name is Little Sebastian, so like she would keep Little Sebastian, my brother, and it's just I don't know, I don't understand the train of thought, and then my brother ended up, going back into his old ways because he was in so much pain and he just didn't want to do reality of everything. So I guess. Okay.
All right, and when she moved out with their son and her other children, did she move in with this other guy?
Yeah, well, I'm under the impression that she moved in with her sister,
okay.
And I guess her boyfriend did live with them.
Okay. So, all right, so this is going on, and so a lot of things going on in Sebastian's life not long before he disappeared.
Right.
Okay. All right, so you see him maybe once a week, and moving up to those days before he disappeared, where you, of course, as you've already stated, your parents are unfortunately deceased by the time he went missing, and you're his only sibling. Would you say that you were worried about him in like maybe the week or two before he went missing? Anything that really worried about his demeanor? Of course, this woman who's out, takes kids with her. What were you thinking about Sebastian in the summer of 2017?
Yeah, no, I definitely was worried about him. I was worried mostly about his health because his legs used to get so big, like, and it was scary because he had so many medical issues, so he never wanted to go to the hospital and never get checked out. So
Mhm.
it's like it was just I was scared for him on that part. Like if anything was to ever happen to him, like he was alone and he had no cell phone, so it's like I could never get a hold of him if I wanted to. But he was doing a lot more than that he would tell me about.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, some health issues. He has doesn't have a cell phone. The woman in his life took his son away. So he has a lot of things going on. And as you stated, I think you told me that maybe he fell back into an addiction because of all this going on.
Yeah.
Okay. So he has a lot of things going on. Very stressful. Okay. And at the time of his disappearance, we'll get into maybe how this might not have been true. But at the time of his disappearance, were you under the impression that he was living by himself?
Yes.
Okay. We will come. The listeners remember that. We will come back to that later. So on what happened, your understanding. Once again, I know you weren't there, but of course you eventually got to talk to him. What happened on that evening of June 16th, 2017?
He told me that he was sleeping and he woke up to a bunch of guys, just attacking him, and they ended up dragging him out of bed outside, and they all just were stomping on his head and punching him. And one of the guys, kneeled down and he said that it was, that it was his mother, the mother of his son, that it was her boyfriend at the time, and he had got down and whispered in his ear that if he thought that a junkie was going to get custody, he might want to rethink that and go retract custody papers that he had filed the day before.
Right, and so this did come up when I talked to, and is the mother of his first child knew all about this, and I will be mentioning this afterwards. So what you're saying is after this woman moved out with his son, that Sebastian had designs on getting some sort of paperwork filled out so he could have access to his son.
Yes.
All right, and this June 16th fight that happened, he's in bed and they barge in there. He believed happened because of that.
Yeah.
And that's all right. And in his opinion, he is identifying this new boyfriend as being one of the guys who did this.
Yes.
Okay. So once again, what happened? This fight, and my understanding is somebody saw this happen and called 911.
Yeah.
All right, and please go from there. What happens next?
From my understanding, the lady that lived across the street called 911, and when they got there, my brother was just on the ground, so they brought him to the hospital, and I don't even know how long he was there for. I just know that he had left against doctor's orders, and I lived right behind the hospital at the time, and I had two friends that had left my house fairly early that morning. I think it was around like 7 in the morning, and they had called me and had said that my brother was walking around in a hospital gurney with no shoes on, just looking disoriented and it almost looked like he was talking to himself. I told them to bring him to my house, and they did. And when I opened my door, I was shocked at what I saw.
Yeah. And just to go over this, just to make sure the listeners heard this correctly, he's wandering around outside the hospital, and your friends who were just at your place saw him.
Yeah.
And did they escort him back to your place?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you saw him, of course, you were very distressed. Is this when he then told you what happened?
Yeah, I instantly got pissed.
Yeah.
Who did this to you? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? He just kept saying, I can't believe you did this to me. I can't believe that you did. I'm like, who did this to you? And he had said that, that is the mother of his son. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was here all night. Like, she's just, it was just so like sick and sadistic because she knew what she did. And then even like later on when she was interviewed for the news, just like the things that she said, like she just lies so much. Like she'd say anything that was the truth. And I just don't know why somebody that, you guys have a kid together, why would you, he could have died. Like, and then in the result of this, kind of like he did, I think,
Okay.
Yeah, so I had laid him down on my bed and got him comfortable. And the pictures that are actually like on the internet are pictures that I took of him on my bed, still in his hospital gown. I tried cleaning up his face a little bit, and and then I left and went to Portland. I went to Westbrook from Portland.
Okay.
And I got like 45 minutes, and when I came back, he was still sleeping. So I just let him sleep for a little while longer, and he got up.
About what time?
He got up around noon.
Okay. So you come back, he's still there. And did he ever tell you the reason he gave for leaving the hospital?
No, he just kept saying that he didn't want to be there. And then he told me that he got like brain swelling and brain bleeding, and I'm like, well, why did you stay at the hospital?
Right.
But he just didn't want to stay there for some reason. It was just he was very adamant on that he didn't want to stay there. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't understand why he even left the hospital. Like, what if he was scared? I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. All right. So he gets up, and what then happens?
I had given him some clothes. I cleaned up his face again because his face was, like, his lip was still bleeding. And but, used my phone to call, the mother of his daughter, and I had talked to her and told her to be prepared to see him. And he had asked me if if he could stay at my house, and selfishly, I said no, but I couldn't even tell you why. Which I should have let him stay there.
Okay.
But she came to pick him up, so he ended up going with her. I gave him a kiss goodbye. I told him that I loved him, and that was the last time that I saw my brother.
All right, so last time you see him, she is taking him. He's getting into her car, and they're taking off, although you don't know where they are going. And once again, I'll fill in some of those blanks after this. interview. So when do you suspect that maybe something's not right? Of course, this was June 17th. On what date do you think it was? It was like, you know what? I haven't heard from Sebastian for a while. He hasn't called me. Nobody's, told me anything about him. I'm sure you were very concerned about his injuries, but when did it start registering to you that maybe something wasn't right?
It was a long time. Like, it really was. It was almost a month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time, and I couldn't even, I can't even honestly, tell you why it took me that long, or, why I didn't realize, because I don't ever go that long without talking to my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I never would have thought that, that June 17th would be the last time that I ever saw him, that something like this would happen. Mm-hmm. So I thought, so when I called the mother of his daughter, and I asked her, when was the last time you talked to Sebastian? And she was like, no, why? I haven't talked to him. And if I haven't talked to him, she talked to him, he talked to his daughter, so when she had said that she hadn't talked to him since, she picked him up at my house, mm-hmm. I instantly was like, no, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. So I hung up and I called the police and I filed a disciplinary report immediately. Okay. I know the listeners are going to be very surprised by that. I mean, the last time you saw him, he had what we've got a very horrible black eye and a busted lip. Never thought, hey, once again, I'm not trying to guilt you, Adrian. I'm just trying to make sure we understand this. It was definitely, I got to call my brother to see how he's recovering. Right. Well, I couldn't call him because he didn't have a cell phone.
He didn't have a cell phone. Okay.
Very. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how close would you say you lived to him at the time? I mean, of course, this would have been the place we got beat up, so he might have been fearful of going back there anyway. But how far did you live from him?
I lived about 15 minutes in a car ride. Okay. Not far. I can't even. There's no explanation. There's no reason why. I don't even know. Okay. All
right. So finally, it's not until I guess we could say July of 2017 before you realize, well, she, the mother of his daughter, his first child, hasn't talked to him. Even though she was the one that was last seen with him. Yeah. Man, he hasn't called her. It starts to look bad. What did the police do?
Well, they were actually really rude. So it took the police almost 10 hours to come to my house to file a missing persons report, and it ended up being a state trooper that came, and I told him everything that had happened, and he was like, oh, we'll put a description out of him and all of this stuff, and then I wrote down everything and told him everything. So by the end of it, he said that he was going to put out a nationwide endangered missing person alert for my brother. But I mean, that's about as far as that went. The police, they didn't really do much. I mean, I don't really know what they really could have done, but it didn't really seem like they were too invested in what happened to my brother from the beginning. They told me numerous times that well, you just need to calm down. I'm sure there's a logical explanation. I'm sure he's just out on a drug bender and all this ignorant stuff. And I'm trying to tell him you don't get it. He's not something's wrong. And he didn't.
Okay. When you talked to the police, did you tell them that he had been beat up by these certain guys?
Yeah.
And do you have any idea whether the police ever went and talked to these guys?
I guess they had, but they said that they didn't know all of the parties involved, so they couldn't interview everybody. They just interviewed the mother of his son, her brother-in-law. They interviewed, he was one of the guys that was involved in him being.
Okay. Do you think that these people denied having anything to do with this fight?
Yes.
They did. All right. And so what you're saying, we're doing this interview on February 6th, 2022. What you're saying is that whoever beat Sebastian up, they've never been charged with anything.
Right.
Okay.
Sebastian and his second child's mother had split up, okay? So he moved out and he was trying to move forward, hoping to get shared custody of his son. However, things took a turn. Not long after her new boyfriend allegedly dragged Sebastian out of bed and beat him up, he ended up in the hospital. But he left before he was cleared to go. He had a brain injury, there was brain bleeding and swelling, and he was really messed up. And he left before he should have. So he showed up at Adrian's house. Well, the friends escorted him in. But he was hurt and shaken up, and she took care of him the best that she could. However, she did say that he couldn't stay there. She doesn't know why she wouldn't let him stay. It was probably a really scary and upsetting time, and I can't say that I wouldn't have reacted the same way, So we're not even gonna be harsh and judge her there, because seriously, you just don't know what you would do. Alright, so she says no. The mother of his first child comes to pick him up. And unfortunately, that was the last time Adrian saw her brother. And from there, the story does kind of fall apart. Adrian really doesn't know, and it's not Adrian's fault, but Adrian really doesn't know what happens from there. And I can only imagine how hard that is for her, just to have to go on a bunch of he said, she says.
Now, given that the last person that you knew was with Sebastian was the mother of his daughter, when you spoke to her, what did she say she and Sebastian did after leaving your place on June 17th? Where did she say she took him?
To my understanding, she had said that I thought she had said that she had dropped him off, at the library to meet his boss.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, come to find out, she had dropped him off, I guess, at his boss's house.
Okay, so what you're saying is between this has maybe been a change in your belief very recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she says what she's saying, and I talked to her too, and once again, I will fill in what she told me. But she said that she dropped him off, and it had to do with his boss.
Yes.
This boss of this remodeling business that Sebastian was involved in.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so police get involved a month later. They go and talk to a couple people, and of course, with the disappearance being a month old and a young man not being seen, there's not a lot that can be done. Of course, we don't have any cell phone information because he doesn't have a cell phone, etc.
As far as Adrian knows, Sebastian didn't have any ID, like his wallet on him, any keys, or just anything. Sebastian didn't have anything on him, right? So, and just keep in mind, Sebastian rented from his boss too. I think they said it before, but Sebastian did rent from his boss. So the place where he got beat up was the same place that like his boss owns, basically. Sebastian did say that his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend did this though. So I just wanted to add some context there. We're about to listen to Adrian's account when she talked to the boss after Sebastian disappeared.
All right, and so what did you ever have a chance after you figured out that Sebastian was missing? When you spoke to the boss, and I realize this is going to create a contradiction here, but I have to ask the question anyway. When did you finally talk to his boss?
A couple of weeks, like after he had gone missing, I had asked because I was under the impression that he had just talked to him and he was supposed to be meeting up with him. So I had asked if he, ever did meet up with him, and he said that he never met up with him. So
is that what he said?
Yeah.
All right, so we have a story from the mother of Sebastian's daughter, the first child, that she dropped him off at the boss's, and just for the record, she says that she did see the boss there, and she let Sebastian out and they met. But when you talked to the boss, when you found out about this, you're telling myself and the audience that the boss denied that.
Right.
Well, okay. And when do you think this conversation took place between you and Sebastian's supervisor, the owner of this company?
It's had to have been maybe like in August.
Okay, August of 2017.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. All right, so there's that. But the mother of the first child, the daughter, the one that I got to speak to, this ex told me that Sebastian did call her. Was this news to you?
Yeah, it sure was.
Okay, so I will just talk for a few seconds here. Adrian, that in talking to this ex, what she told me is, yes, she dropped Sebastian off at his boss's place. She saw Sebastian get out. She saw the boss there. She left. But then on Father's Day, which would have been, it was the 19th of June in 2017. Of course, Father's Day is always on a Sunday. June 19th, 2017, she claims that Sebastian actually called her. And then he also got to talk to their 4-year-old daughter. Is that right? Is that what she told you? That's my understanding. I know you've had a chance to talk to her. Did she say that?
Yes, she did.
All right. So I guess what we're saying is then a couple days after she dropped him off, after this June 17th, after he left your place, he was seemingly still around.
I mean, I guess so, because somebody else said that they had saw him at a convenience store,
mm-hmm.
and, they called the police and told the police. So, I mean, there were, like, a few people I've seen that said that they saw him, and, allegedly the last time that anybody, that he just fell off the face of the planet was
mm-hmm.
19. The police even said that, they had that video.
We'll get to the video, but what we're saying is, what we're trying to, I think, establish with Adrian is that she dropped him off his bosses, but that really, he was still doing something. He was living somewhere at least a couple days later.
I don't know where.
Yeah, we don't know where. Okay, and once again, I will fill in more of the blanks a little later. Now, you mentioned this video. Let's talk about this video. When were you first told of this video?
Pretty much a couple of weeks after he had gone missing. Because me and, my niece's mom had gone to the police department in Westbrook together.
Mm-hmm.
They had said that, there was this video of my brother just walking down Main Street and just going down the side of the house and disappearing. It really doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, so let's just get this out of the way. Have you ever seen this video?
No.
All right, where did it happen in Westbrook? Allegedly.
It was right on Main Street, and the video was taken supposedly at Cumberland Farms.
Okay.
But from my understanding, it was at night. So I don't really understand, how anybody would just know, randomly that was, my brother.
Right.
Walking.
Have the police ever explained how they even came across this video, being that they didn't even know he was missing until a month later when you told them? How did they go back that far to find video of a missing person? Did they ever explain that to you?
No, never.
Okay. But it just, whoever this guy was, allegedly, if the video exists, once again, I'm not inclined to believe it until, I guess, sees it, but it just shows a man walking.
Right, yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to think of that. Okay, but we have to talk about it because that's what the police told you. They believe it's Sebastian.
Right.
Okay. Let's move on to this. Now, we have to remember that there's this apartment that Sebastian was in when he got beat up. When was it that somebody finally went over to his place, to find out, hey, maybe Sebastian's just at home. Maybe he's here. Maybe he's there. And when did somebody go over to his apartment and what was found?
Apparently there were two people that supposedly said that Sebastian said they could stay there, and the police had found these two people just in his house.
Huh.
It makes no sense to me. Like, why would my brother say you could stay there, but he's not there?
And just to go back to an early part of this interview, you were under the impression that Sebastian was living there by himself.
Correct.
All right, but then when somebody shows up there to see if Sebastian is there, there's other people in that place.
Right.
Okay. Did you ever get, being that Sebastian was living there and he had clothes and other things, did you ever get any of that stuff?
No.
Do you have any idea what happened to it?
I was under the impression that his son's mother went and got everything.
Wow. So allegedly, the person who instigated this fight in the first place was the person who got all his stuff.
Yep.
So when we say stuff, we say if his wallet was there, she got it, clothes, possessions, if he had a video game system, all of it gone.
Everything. Yep.
And being that his supervisor, the boss of this remodeling business, was the landlord of this place, what did he have to say about all this?
Nothing really. Nobody. He was very quiet about everything.
Okay. All right. So the very boss who Sebastian saw the day after he got beat up, seemingly had other people living there and never told anybody else about it. No explanation from him at all.
Right. None.
Okay. Don't know what to think of that. All right.
Right.
All right. And do you even know who these two people were? Do you know their names? Could they have known Sebastian in any way? Anything?
No, I have no idea who they are. Like, I was never told their names though, so.
Mm-hmm. And who actually did come across them? The police?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, they show up and these two people were there. All right. Man and a woman?
Yep. They said that my brother had told them that they could stay there.
Did they ever give any indication of how long they had been staying there?
No.
That's strange. Okay. Let's move on to this. And this was, I get the idea, this was a relatively new piece of information. She talked about how he called her on the 19th, which was Father's Day. However, just recently, somebody told you they also saw Sebastian after he was with the mother of his child. What were the circumstances?
I guess that he had, just asked them, and, well, they saw this, she had said that, she had saw his face, and she was really, taken back by it,
Mm-hmm.
and, that he was jumped, and that he thought that it was, the mother, well, he said that
Mm-hmm.
he believed that it was the mother of, his son,
Yeah.
because he could get custody, and, they had just talked a little bit, and that was the last time that, they said that they saw him, because, I guess they, said Happy Father's Day because it was Father's Day, and, they just went about their business.
But it's specifically, where did they see him?
Oh, at the police department.
But they're saying they were down somewhere at the police department, and they just happened to encounter Sebastian down there, and it seemed to them like he was there to file charges.
Right. But, none of it, that doesn't make much sense to me, because, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Why doesn't it?
I don't, because when he told me, he didn't even know he just referred to that one guy
Mm-hmm.
as, her boyfriend, and her brother-in-law, and maybe he was going to, press charges on her brother-in-law because he didn't know his name, but, I don't understand how, maybe he was there to press charges, but I think if he was at the police department, I think, the cops would have brought it up.
Well, I agree with you. So what you're saying, when you were told this recently, that's not, you've never heard that before. The police never said, he came in and tried to file charges, nothing like that.
Right.
But still, this is what these people told you, and they said they saw him with his injured face and everything, so this was certainly after he got beat up.
Right. Yeah.
Would this be the same police department that is responsible for his disappearance?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
You're going to have to get to the bottom of that, Adrian. All right, so yeah, he gets brought to his boss's house. His ex-girlfriend drops him off, the good ex-girlfriend. She sees them together, he leaves. A couple days later, Sebastian calls her to talk to their daughter, and then he's seemingly seen, I guess around the same day, at the police station, or at least outside it or something. And if we're to believe this, and that's the last time, so June 19th may be the proper disappearance date for this. Okay, and since then, no sightings at all.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
How tough have the last 5 years been? Almost 5 years, Adrian.
Well, I think for the first, couple months, I just, thought maybe, I always knew something was wrong, but I didn't. But I thought maybe since he did have, a brain injury, that something happened to him in that sense, but, I never, in a million years would have thought that, I feel like my life was just episode, day one. I never would have thought that I would have a missing brother that, I have no idea where he is, and,
Yeah.
At this, I've been knowing that, he's obviously not with us, so it's so painful. And, he was all I had left. And it's been hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really hard.
Do you have a Facebook page or website, anything set up for Sebastian's disappearance?
There is a Facebook page that's it's just called Missing Sebastian.
Okay.
And, but there's not a lot of people, that know about it because it's not, hasn't been a huge,
Mm-hmm.
hasn't had a lot of publicity or anything. It was
Yeah.
only on the news time and
Yeah.
twice. So it's
Okay. Well, we're going to try to change that. And all I can tell you is, you got to keep working at it. You got to keep getting the word out there. You got to do some interviews. You got to be proactive in contacting, especially local media.
Alrighty, so that was Ed's interview with Adrian, and I want to just thank them both for doing that, especially Adrian, because being vulnerable like that, I can only imagine how hard that was for her. I hate this for her, and I truly, truly hope that she finds the answers that she deserves. Alright, in this next segment, I'm going to show you a short clip of an interview that Sebastian's son's mother did, right? So, baby mama number two. And just to be transparent, Adrian has voiced concerns over like her credibility. However, I still want to share the clip. I don't want to assign blame or like make accusations or anything, but to try to like present a full picture of the case, right? So this was a part of it. Here's the clip. All right, so if we take a look, I guess this is News Center Maine, a local news channel from where Mr. Kelly went missing. Let's see, can I?
Jessica Gagne. Cassie Dowdy of Westbrook says she was told by police that they received a tip her fiance, 30-year-old Sebastian Kelly, which led them to search the Presumpscot River. News Center's Samantha York joins us now with more on that search. Sam.
Yeah, Jess, police would not confirm or deny yesterday's search was for Kelly, but Dowdy says police told her that a tip came in about him being shot and that his body was dumped in the river. Kelly was reported missing by his sister on June 17th. A Facebook post from Portland police says he was last seen near Gilman Street in Portland. He's 5'11", weighs roughly 200 pounds, has brown eyes and black hair, and has a tattoo on the left side of his neck that says Willow Grace. Since he's been reported missing, Dowdy has heard a number of stories as to where he is and what happened. Some claiming he's hiding from people that he recently had altercations with. She and Kelly have a son together. She says he was a great father and has been helping her raise twin girls from a previous relationship. And despite his dark past, he's a great guy that's willing to help anyone. Friends and family say they're worried and they just want to know that he's safe.
Nobody goes missing and no one knows. Someone has to know something. I hope he's all right, and I hope he calls me or someone calls me, or the police or someone. It don't even have to be the police. It don't have to be me. It could be his sister or his aunt or his grandmother or someone. Just to know that he's safe.
Now, Dowdy was told by police that both Westbrook police and Portland police are now working together on the case. Police are encouraging anyone with information to call Detective Beaumont at 207-874-8524. Jess.
Right. Thank you, Sam.
It's honestly hard to form an opinion here because like there's just so many people connected to the case, and a lot of what's been said over the years, it seems to like contradict like other accounts and stories and stuff. I've spent a while watching things, reading things, trying to piece things together, and it just doesn't make sense. A lot of everything is pretty clear up until his disappearance, and then there's just so many questions and so many things that it almost seems like so many lies, just so many stories that overlap each other. But maybe that's the point. This case just isn't about facts. It's about silence. It's about hesitation, about what should have been done, but what wasn't done. And I'm not here to judge or, talk ish on anybody or anything. I'm sure the police department do their job and they're working hard to find them, maybe. But I would like to try to keep a little spotlight on this case. So, if you could, I've also linked Sebastian's missing persons Facebook profile down below. Go to the description, click on the link, and just share his page, please. If you're still here, thank you. I know it was a long video, but I really appreciate you taking the time to hear Sebastian's story through and through. His name is Sebastian Henderson Kelly. A friend, a brother, a father, and a son. He is deeply missed.